Video was, I would say, kind of dull, boring, didn't have a lot to it. So today, we are going to go do some strikes, actual gameplay, with actual outcomes, good deals. Now, a lot of people don't know what these modifiers do. Now, when you do uh, heroic anything, usually it's a Neon 350 hard, and they'll have modifiers. Now, heroic will always be the first modifier. As you can see here, enemies appear in greater numbers and are more aggressive. It really does actually modify it to where it's like that. Um, in a different video, I'll kind of show the difference between one raid that's normal to one raid that's heroic. And you can see the difference in the number of enemies and how quickly they run right at you. Then we have Void Burn. Void damage from any source is greatly increased, which means most of the enemies will be using void-based weapons, um, which means you'll lose health a lot quicker. But the double back of that is the enemy will also be very, very vulnerable to void damage weapons. So it's a very good idea to activate any void damage weapons that you may have. Berserk, Minions of Darkness, won't flinch even after massive damage, which means you can't rely on the flinch effect of your weapons. I know a lot of people like having a weapon that causes a lot of impact so that it makes them flinch, you can get more shots in. These guys won't. Basically, you have to take them down. They're going to be a brick wall that you're going to be shooting at. Small arms, primary weapon damage is favored. Uh, I've noticed when it's small arms or specialist, specialist is the same thing as small arms, but with your special weapon, which means your special weapon does more damage than your primary. In small arms, your primary does more damage than your heavy and your special. Now, it really does make a difference. It really does change how you play. Because, say you play the regular version, you use a primary weapon, you basically annihilate everything. You use a special weapon, you basically annihilate everything. Well, when it comes to this, your secondary, it could definitely take out the enemy quick, or it could just take a few more shots than normal. So if you notice that your special weapon that you love, say your fusion rifle or your sidearm or your shotgun, isn't doing the job the way it should, make sure you pay attention to the modifiers. Because if the modifier says small arms, that means you want to use your primary more than your secondary, vice versa. Now, when they put uh, any kind of damage, void burn, arc damage, or solar burn, uh, they kind of contradict the small arms unless you run unless this is arc burn and small arms, then you have a little bit of leeway because there are a few weapons, exotic versions of some weapons, uh, especially the adept weapons. Like, here, I'll show you. Let's take this off and put that on. As you can see here, the Oversoul Edict Adapt. It does void damage, which most primaries don't do any kind of, or this does arc damage, my apologies, which most primary weapons don't have a ability towards any of the elements. Another one to have on hand at times for arc damage is also the Z-Halo Supercell. But most of the adept, anything that has the word adept in it right here, this word right here, it will always be in parentheses. They usually have some kind of ability damage to it, which makes it a very, very strong asset. But I think what we'll run with today is the Mina multi-tool, as I've gotten very accurate with it. Some people don't like it. Other people say it's kind of a cheat weapon. Now, basically when you have this setup, it's whatever you want to run. You don't have to run void damage weapons. You don't have to run arc damage weapons. You don't have to even run solar damage weapons. It's all your preference. And with my preferences is yes, if you had a void weapon that was a primary, you're 100% set as long as it's within the light level required for the mission.
Whether we wanted it or not,
having said that,
we've stepped into a war with the Cabal on Mars.
Basically, the primary
so let's get to taking out their command
react
one by one.
The exact same way as it usually does.
From what I
in
can
the
gather,
normal,
he commands the siege
normal
depths from an Imperial land tank outside of Rubicon. He's well protected.
So
but with the right team, we can punch through those defenses, take this beast out, and break their grip
the
on
modifiers
freedom.
are. There are almost 15 to 20 different modifiers. One of my favorites is Daybreak.
See if we can track down Valis to Ark.
Daybreak is your super recharge, extremely fast, which actually, based off of the rates of recharge, it's almost the exact same as if you played a Mayhem match. Your ability to recharge is about the same. Now, you might be looking at me kind of weird, seeing as how I am using the Striker class for my Titan, and not my Defender class. Well, I've never been the hide behind something kind of player. I've always been jump right out there, get things done. Has this kind of messed me up in the past? Yeah. I mean, I guarantee anybody that plays like that knows what I'm talking about. But the hindsight for that is, you learn how to move around enemy attacks, and you've learned how to really keep yourself alive while still accomplishing what you need to accomplish. I find that to be a very good trait, just in case, say, your special ability isn't there to help you. So you want to do that. So I basically play the what if aspect of whatever. What if I get pinned down and I don't have my super? What if I do get pinned down and I do have my super, but my super is like the striker class? Has to be up close and personal, but there's too many, and if I don't get them all, I could lose the mission. Which some missions are pain in the butt to have to do over and over. Now, most of you will probably say, oh, you play like a noob. Honestly, yeah. I'm not a hardcore gamer by any means of the word. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I'm the best gamer in the world. But I do know how to work as a team. And I do know little tips and tricks that one help me stay alive. And honestly, in any kind of team, if you stay alive, there's more of a chance of you keeping your teammates alive. As you can see, they're huddled up there, and I'm screwing around down here with a tank. That means only one of us, namely me, is going to get royally honed if something goes wrong. But I can also pick up stragglers, and there's still two people that can handle themselves still in the fight. Which means I can get picked up. I can get revived. And I'm not really sitting there screwing my team over. One good aspect of working as a team is 9 times out of 10, especially when you're doing strikes, everybody's trying to complete it. everyone's doing it to complete it. So, basically, what you're doing is making so everybody wants the best outcome for everybody else. Because no matter how good of a player you are, there's a lot of times when you realize, well, I can't do this myself. So, you don't work harder if you'll force teammates. But that also means you gotta work as a team. You can't just go off and sit there and think you're top dog and nothing can get you and you just do everything yourself. If you sit there and do that, then well, you're not really working as well playing. Now, everybody has their favorite strike. Everybody has their one-off that they love to do all the time. Well, so you guys know, this is actually my favorite. Don't know why. I honestly just think it's fun. I don't remember what the name of the strike was. But, yeah. That's all I gotta say for today. So I'll let you guys sit there, do that, and watch the rest of that.
Got it. I'll let Commander Zavala know there's one less problem on Mars.
Valis Ta'Ark has finally been defeated in the Cabal Command Delta Great War. But in the darkness rising, more fleets will come and new leaders will rise. We must be ready to face them all.
Well, guys, that's the end of that. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, leave a comment, hit that big thumbs up button at the bottom, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.